Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2. I'm so glad to be joining you today. Welcome. Today I have a craft with me, and at the end we should have a journal. So a junk journal. So let's dive in. I've been doing some micro cleaning. I mean, seriously detailed cleaning. And my place is still kind of a mess. But I came across something I'd gotten on clearance, and it's the grunge board from Tim Holtz. And I thought this would be such a fun project. I've always loved square journals and square books. I think they're kind of unique, and I just enjoy the look of that. And I thought, well, we could make a journal out of this, you know, and decorate it all up and stuff like that. But I looked online, and I don't believe they're making grunge board anymore. You can get it you can get it on Amazon or eBay or something, and it's very expensive. So I don't think they make this anymore, like at a regular craft outlet. So which is probably why it was on clearance when I got it. But so I decided not to use this because I don't want to make something out of supplies you can't get, because that doesn't make sense. I want to, you know, craft with you and not at you kind of thing. So I'm putting this aside, but I'm taking this idea and running with it. So it has a split ring. And no, I don't think that's the right word, but it's a hinged ring, and it has two holes. So this is just a ring binding, and we're going to do the same thing. And I love the size, so I cut some material that I have into that size. All right, so I used this. This is just a board. Might have been two boards. I think it was two boards that had lace on them. So it's like the core of that. So it's pretty sturdy, like book board or particle board, pretty sturdy. You can kind of see that it doesn't bend too much, and I love that. So I thought that would work great. This grunge board is actually more flexible. It's very flexible. Actually, you can manipulate it and bend it. I also cut out, because I like to make more than one, so I also cut out the ends of a corrugated box that I had from a decanter I had to buy. So this is the right size as well, and I think this will be a great cover too. It's not like, it's very sturdy. I know some corrugated can be very it can be manipulated and bent very easily, but this, I guess maybe with the coating papers that are on the outsides, it's a lot sturdier. So here's another one I'll be using, but for now this is just, you know, also some stuff that I found when I was cleaning, and I'm like, I've saved it for like book cover. So this is my idea. It did have an automatic, it had a rounded corner already, so I will be rounding that, which is probably what I would have done anyway. And I consider different ways. I could have wrapped this with fabric or some other things. But what I decided to do, this is another thing I found when I was cleaning. I had done several projects for a company who sent us some products. And this is sort of like an art-based. Here's, not too much. Here's a palette. And there's some other elements that aren't necessarily about art. But anyway, this is kind of a collage I had made previously. Then I haven't done anything with it. So I thought that would be a great size to go on the cover of this book. So this is what I'm going to work with. This is kind of how I'm going to gather up some color ideas for this cover. So what I decided to do, I'm going to have to paint this, because I think what I want to do is cover it with canvas. I might not have to paint it now that I look at it again. You can see it. If you're looking carefully, you can see it, but this is going to be, I think I'm going to spray this with inks, and then it will have a bunch of things on top. So I don't really think this will be seen. It's not offensive anyway. You can't even tell it's blue. It's just like a little shadow there. So actually, that'll save me a step. So I'm gonna not bother with that. I was thinking that would be a necessity. This one has, the rings were, I don't know if it says on here, but they looked to be about a little bit over an inch. And I decided to use rings that were a little bit bigger, just for, because I probably am going to make it a little fat. So I have a bunch of rings. These are the kind that hinge open like this, so they're super easy to thread papers through. I have a bunch of these, and so I looked through mine and have this really great size, which is, let me check here, about 1.5 inches. So excited about that they're a little bit bigger, because I don't think you can do a whole lot with rings this small. Also interesting that there are 12 pages in here. Look at how thick that is, with just these grunge board pages, and there's only one set of rings in there. Unless I dug in here and got some out, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's in a pack all onto its own. So I don't know. Maybe that's why it was on clearance. Anyway, I am going to get started with spraying this, and I was going to do it off camera, but I might go ahead and put some plastic down here or something and spray this so you can kind of see my process, but I'll speed it up so you don't have to watch the whole thing in detail. But the way I'm going to do it, so I have ink sprays. I have alcohol inks. I've got sprays that I've just gotten here and there. There are no special you know, type or anything like that. There's a mixture of matte finish and sparkle, and like I have everything. So which I'm kind of running low on. I'm getting a little bit concerned about that. I might have to stock up again, but the way I'm going to start is to get these squares wet so that the ink will spread and kind of run into each other like a watercolor effect. So I'm going to start by getting these wet and spraying them. So I'll be back after I get my surface covered with plastic, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I gathered up my supplies. I decided to dip these in coffee instead of water, which I think will be great. I had done that. I made a project for Tracy Fox's December Daily, and using that grunge board, only it was a different, I'm trying to think, it was a different size. Yes, it was just the long sheet that I folded and made into a book. But anyway, I dipped that in coffee first and then sprayed it, and I really liked the effect of that and the muted colors. And so I just went ahead and dipped these in coffee. That's all I did there. So I'm going to try to match or not clash with these colors here. So I did pick out a lot of browns. I have sort of neutral. Antique linen, I think, is sort of a neutral color. And there are a couple of greens here. I don't have too many greens. This is green too, but it's also very dark. I do know that. So I might have to off spray it and then just sort of use it sparingly. And then on this tape here and on this little ephemera piece is sort of this corally color. This is called Antiqued Bronze, and it does have some shimmer to it. So anyway, I also brought black in case I need some contrast somewhere. So we will see. But also I wanted to mention, the reason why I have 4 here is because I want to put one on the front cover and one on the inside front cover and sandwich the cardboard in between and then stitch around. That's my plan. So we will see. But I'm making 4. So if that doesn't work out, I'll have enough for 2 books. But so what I'll probably do is the front cover and back cover first, and then the inside front and back covers next. So I'm going to fold that up and kind of set it aside. I'm kind of brave today. I'm wearing off-white pants, and these sleeves don't roll up very well. So I'm being a little careless, I guess. That's a better word for it, right? Careless. All right, I'm gonna put these out of the way a little bit so I have more freedom to spray. All right, and so I probably will speed this up. If I feel like I need more water, or I need to wet this a little bit, I have a spray bottle with water, which I just have. All right, so I think I tried some spraying. I'm going to spray on here. And I did goof up a little bit, so I'm coming on. Okay, so that's pretty bold. That's a pretty bold green. So I'm going to spray on here. This will give me a better idea on the color too. And then smushing it more in a watercolor style I think would be cool. So, and yeah, that's alcohol ink. Not sure what that's going to do, but let's see that. All right, that's pretty dark. All right, let's just keep going with vintage photo. Okay. I'm not sure that alcohol ink is going to work, so I'm going to dab that up because that looks like it's going to be pretty splotchy, right? All right, now I'm going to just lay these down. I feel like the splotchier the better. I think this is going to be fun. All right, pretty good. And pretty good. I like that a lot. Very good, very good, very good. Okay. Get some more water, maybe help that Distress spray to spread just a tiny bit. And I did try this color and it's awful. It's awful. It's not exactly what I had in mind, so that's what I goofed on, is just not looking at the color first. Okay, so I had to start over, but these are good. These are gonna work, I think. And then I can choose which one I want to put out in the front. Like if I like this dark green here, for example, when I get this on, I'm like that Pika green. I think that's perfect. Or if I want to mute it a little bit, I'll just turn it around and do it this way. Okay, this was the ones I had originally done and thought they were so awful, so hideous. But I might actually just let these dry, see what it looks like. I can choose to use these, you know, either side. Like if this is kind of more muted for the green, but it's got more of this this color, which I wasn't happy with. And then this has less of the green. This has more of the green. But I think I'm gonna give them a second chance. They are gonna be covered up quite a bit, and the edges are gonna be cut off a little too. So see, I don't really like that side, but this side's okay. I don't know. I'm gonna let them dry and see what it looks like, and I'll come back and show you the finished product, and that's the first step of our cover. All right, see you in just a minute. Okay, I am back with my pieces of fabric. Love how they turned out. Even the ones I thought were ruined, I think turned out really great. These are the ones I didn't like originally, but I like them a lot now. So I actually sprayed directly onto the fabric there, and then I learned that maybe smushing the fabric on would be a better choice, and so that's what these look like. So kind of different looks, but I like them all. I like them all. It's going to be hard to decide what goes where. But I think I decided on this one for the cover. I think I like that one for the cover. I think I might do it just like that. All right. Anyway, so to attach the fabric onto the cover material, I'm going to be using PVA glue. I haven't used this for a while, so I'm going to shake it and make sure it's all, because it is a little watery. I don't know if it's a water-based. I think so. So I just assume I need to shake it a little bit. So here we go on that. It's been a while. And I'm going to pour it out into a little container and then brush it on. A nice thin layer. And then the fabric will go on directly on until it dries. So the method, I had mentioned a little bit of this earlier, but so I want a piece of fabric for the outside cover and a piece of fabric for the inside cover, and I'm going to sandwich this in between, so I've already mentioned that. But I think I did fail to mention, so I want the fabric to actually stick out about 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch past the board all the way around. And then, so I'll glue this on, and then I'll cut so there's like 3/8 inch all the way around, so it's nice and even. And then I'll zigzag around here, maybe straight stitch or zigzag probably around, and then I'm just gonna fringe it, so it's gonna be like a little fringy cover. And if it's too much fringe, I'll just trim it down a little bit. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good. So that's my plan. We will see it as it goes, right? This has to be the outside edge, so I'm gonna put that over here and also give myself another rounded corner here. And that's actually a pretty big rounded corner, so I did them both. All right, let's see how my PVA glue did here. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Perfect. And I put a little piece of wax paper to protect my surface. And I'm just gonna very thin layer, working quickly. And I'll probably put this under a book or something to dry so it doesn't warp. All right, and then this I think I was putting on like this. I'm gonna turn it around so I can put it on a little bit more evenly. That's full of glue, so I'm trying to be careful. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna try to put this on evenly, top to bottom, front to back. That way it'll be easier to trim. Okay, and then, okay, so now this side, this will also help even out the warping, is when you have a layer on the front and a layer on the back. Then they sort of even each other out, so to speak. Okay, get that on nice and evenly, very thin layer. And then I am going to, let's see, I like this side. I'm just going to put that over the top and make it even, nice and even if I can. So that'll be my inside cover. And that's my outside cover there. All right. Now I'm going to find a heavy book and put that under, and I'm going to do the same thing with the back covers. Okay, all set with my front and back cover. And then I am putting it under a heavy book. I have a big old dictionary. I'm going to put it under there and let it dry for a little bit. And then we'll come on and do the next step, which is trimming, then sewing, and then fringing. All right, one thing I'm going to do before I do any cutting is kind of plan out my cover. I've got some fabric and different lace, different layers here on my original image, and I think I'm going to go with something like that. So that'll work for that. And before I do, let's see, I'm going to use this as a template and make sure I've got my holes positioned before I put my cover decoration on too. So I'm going to have those things sort of in place, and then I'm going to cut and sew here. All right, so I'm going to, I have some like heat erasable pen, and I'm going to line this up on the edges, so I'm kind of folding back the fabric so I can see where everything is. There we go. And then I'm just going to make sure that my holes are marked, and that'll sort of be my indicator where to put my holes before I get my center decoration on. But now let me grab my cutting things. Okay, so here we are. Here's the cutting mat, and I've got a ruler. You could just draw a line, use a ruler, draw a line, and cut. I'm going to go ahead and use my rotary cutter. So what I'm going to do is draw a line. I'll draw a line where this edge is, where the edge of the board is, so I can see where to cut on this. You know, an easier way probably would have been to cut this the exact size, but I wasn't sure about, I just wanted to give myself enough fabric to work with and not have not enough. So I was just trying to be extra careful with that, but you certainly could have cut this, you know, the correct size in the first place. Just measured 3/8 of an inch past your board and then cut the fabric that. But, so this is kind of an extra step, but I'm okay with it. Oh, and I put my, wait, did I? Yes, I put my holes on the wrong side because I can feel my rounded edges. Remember, those rounded edges are going to be on the outside of the book. So, yep, I put my holes on the wrong side. Okay, so I erased. I want the pointy corners. My iron is on, so I just erased them with my iron, which is a super great feature of that pen. Okay, here we go. This is much better. I'm glad I figured that out before it was too late. Okay, so now I have a little bit of a dotted line, but I've got a line so that I can line it up, and I'm going to cut 3/8 of an inch past my board, my interior part of the book there, part of the cover. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other piece too, which is the back of the book, and so I'll do that off camera. But now what I'm going to do is take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to just do a small zigzag stitch, and if it comes up onto the book board, I'm okay with that, but I'm kind of shooting for just right at the very edge of that. But if it comes up over the board, I'm not worried about it. So I'll be back after I sew that. Okay, all stitched. I left my holes there because that's going to be one of the next things. And I haven't fringed it yet, so I thought I'd bring you along. So this is about 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch away from my board. So it could be too much, so maybe this will be good to do it with you real quick to see. I think I'm a little hesitant. I'm thinking it's going to be too much of a fringe, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut that down. Okay, and then I have just a ball tool. I have a nut. I don't know what they call these, a nut pick or something. I have one of those here too. And we'll get some threads going and then just start fringing it. Try not to, you have to avoid your stitches. Keep your stitches intact because that's what's kind of keeping the fabrics together. So you don't want to go crazy but with the pick, but obviously when you fringe it, when you start pulling the strings, the stitching will stop it. So that's perfect. Okay, so I got that all. Oh, I kind of like it like that. So then just start pulling, fringing that. Ooh, I like it. I like it. Looking good. And you'll still have some little strings to cut because it's not going to be perfectly even, right? But And let's get this side and see how we did on that one. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Get those over there. So I'll hold it up a little bit higher for you. Okay, so the next thing, I'll obviously get this one done as well. You can fringe it up with your fingernail too. I'm going to do that, make it look a little rougher. But I love the way that turned out. So I'm going to put eyelets in here on my circles that I marked. And then I'm going to put the cover decoration on. Okay, here they are. I love it. I love it. I think it's going to be so much fun. I put eyelets in, as you can see, and fringed up all the edges. I might do a little bit more fringing, but for now I think it's pretty good. And it comes right up to the stitching. So I'm kind of glad I cut some of that off, because I think this is just the right amount of fringe. So if you're cutting your fabric to do this method, I would cut it just 1/4 of an inch all the way around bigger, and then you should get the same effect. But I had a few more extra steps because I wasn't sure, and I wanted to make sure that I did it. I had enough space to work with in case I made a mistake. So, but it should be fine at 1/4 inch all the way around. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, I think I'm happy with this arrangement right here. I also had some, I might put some of this in. Let me cut some off and kind of look at it. Yeah, I might put some of this in just for another bit of interest. So what I'll do is this already has stitching on it, so I'm not too worried about the stitching on here. But what I'll do is I'll line this all up, make sure it's the way I want it, kind of glue tack it down, and then what I'm going to do is take my sewing machine and make some stitch lines on probably around the edge and maybe just on the trim itself. And then I'll just glue this on top. So I'll go ahead and do that. I did want to experiment a little bit with this. Then I'm going to go and stitch that. Okay, I stitched some of the items down, kind of stitched around the outside edge too. And kind of a hint, I glue basted it down so that nothing would shift. And as you probably saw too, I cut this down a little bit so that it wouldn't interfere with the holes. Kind of a hint is to sew this on paper, and it just makes it run through the sewing machine a lot easier. Sometimes machines, if the fabric is too lightweight, it might like suck down the fabric down into the throat or the feed dogs or whatever, but it is actually a good hint to go ahead and put paper underneath it and then sew at. So that's what I did. I'm going to leave this paper on. It'll just help me with gluing. I don't have to worry so much about glue, and I don't know. I'm just going to do that. And then I will glue this on here. So, but the first thing, I think I'll center it on there. So I'm going to put the glue a little heavier on this. Actually, because I tore away some, it is kind of popping up. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. No big deal. If you would prefer, and I do this quite a bit, is just put some interfacing back here. I've done that before too. Some iron-on interfacing, that way you don't have to worry about the glue showing through. So I will have to worry. Most of this is going to be covered by the design, so I'm not going to worry too much. But so I'm putting dabs of glue. This is a really good glue to work with when you have fabric, and it's really fabric on fabric, so this glue is perfect for it. I'm going to put some dabs of glue and then spread it with my finger a little bit, and then center it onto the cover, and then we'll have a nice base for our design there. And I had the lace going that way. All right. And I fringed this fabric too. Okay, now I'm going to smooth that down for a minute just to make sure it's all snug. If you didn't get the edges, you can always go back and just put a little dab, or if you need to. Okay, get that loose thread off there. And then this one, you can go to town on the glue. I might have to put, it warps slightly, so I might have to actually put this under a book to dry. But the beacon, all right. But this is a nice strong glue, and it will take care of that warping. I'm very, very sure. All right, once I put a book on top. So I missed a few spots. Let me get those real quick. Nice and snug, and it just takes a few minutes to dry, so we will put this on top and I'll get the papers ready. All right, I thought I would come and show you how I did the papers. So the book itself, covers themselves are 6 by 6. So I was going to cut 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. However, that would mean you kind of waste most of the paper, so I just went ahead and did it 5 1/2 to cut this in half equally, so that you can have 2 pages per sheet of paper. So basically I was just cutting 5 1/2, so that gives me 2. And then you can either go 5 1/2. I actually did 5 3/4 to make it a little bit longer, but you definitely don't have to do that. Just do it a perfect square, 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then also I made it a little bit more complicated, because when I did it 5 3/4, just to make it a little bit longer this way, then you have to keep track of which side you're punching the holes, which I totally lost track. So this is the taller one, so this is going to go this way. And then I was just using this as a template. I don't have a hole puncher where you can change the hole position, so I was actually having to do this all by hand, which really wasn't a big deal. I could cut 7, 10 pages at a time, and I could also punch that many at a time too. So it didn't go too slowly. I know Cindy just did a book in the shape of a house, and she had to do some fancy cutting too. And I know it's real tedious, but this one didn't go too badly. And then you just feed it through the ring. So I'll do that in a second, but let me get the cover. Let's get the cover and see. And I didn't do any decorating. I just used coffee stained papers and different types of stained papers, just kind of in the traditional junk journal style. You could obviously put tags and pockets and different things, but I didn't. This is just plain paper for now. And with this 1.5 inch ring, I was able to fit, I think it was 80 pages on here. So let me just show you how this goes here. Oops, one of my rings came off. All right, so still lots of room on my ring. Although it is popping up a little bit, so not much room to get any more pages in there. But I think it's a pretty nice sized book the way it is. And there you have it. You could put pockets. You might need to take some pages out though if you're getting too fancy, but you might add pockets here and here. But there it is. There you have it. Okay, so I did look real quick, and I do have rings, hinged rings that are a little bit bigger. They're 1 3/4 inches. And so I should be able to, if I use those instead, which I should be able to no problem, I should be able to fit a few embellishments in here, especially including the inside, front, and back covers. And that'll make it a cute little book, but I think it's great just the way it is too. A nice little gift. I think it would be very easy to whip a bunch of these out. Maybe Valentine's Day or a teacher gift or something like that. I think they're so cute. And you don't have to go super grunge like this. You can make it a little, use a different fabric or just keep the canvas white and make it a little bit more modern looking. I think it's very fun, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I also wanted to mention, so if you don't have a template like I have, you can make one out of cardstock. And let me just tell you the dimensions of these. So the ring holes from inner edge to inner edge here is 3 1/4 inches. And then from the outside edge, the back edge, it's 3/8 of an inch from the book's edge there. So 3 1/4 inches between holes, 3/8 of an inch from here to the book edge there. And just make a template. That way you can draw through those circles and then punch away. So that'll make your life a lot easier. Anyway, I'm kind of excited to have bigger rings, and I can work on that because I kind of like the size of this with 80 pages. I think it's 80 sheets of paper, so actually you could say 160 pages. So I think that's a nice size. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. We have new videos out on the regular, and we love to share our content with you. And drop a comment. I want to know what you think about this style. And if you do try it, we'd love to see your pictures. We have a Facebook group, and it's Ideas2, and you just need to ask to join, but we're pretty quick on that, and we'll hook you up to our Facebook group, and you can join us over there. That'd be fun too. And all the other links where you can find us. We have an Etsy shop. We have an Instagram, which we're going to try to get better at doing. And take care, everybody, and have a great day. Thanks. Goodbye.